The haunted beach. I never believed in ghost stories. That changed the summer I visited Blackwater Beach. The beach wasn't on any tourist map. It sat beyond a winding coastal road, hidden behind cliffs and twisted pine trees. The locals rarely spoke about it. When they did, they always ended the conversation the same way. Don't stay after sunset. Of course, I ignored them. One evening, I packed a flashlight and walked down to the shore. The sky glowed orange as the sun sank into the ocean. Waves rolled across the sand with a steady hiss. For a while, everything felt peaceful. Then I noticed footprints. They appeared from nowhere. A single line of wet footprints stretched across the sand. They led from the water toward the dunes. There was only one problem. Nobody was making them. I watched as a fresh footprint appeared. Then another. And another. Something invisible seemed to be walking out of the sea. A chill crawled up my spine. The footprints continued until they vanished among the dunes. I told myself it was a trick of the light. Then I heard laughing. Children. Faint and distant. The sound drifted across the beach despite nobody being there. I shined my flashlight toward the shoreline. At first, I saw nothing. Then I noticed figures standing in the surf. 5 children. They wore old-fashioned clothes soaked with seawater. Their pale faces reflected the moonlight. None of them moved. None of them blinked. I froze. A wave crashed. When it retreated, the children were closer. I never saw them walk. The next wave crashed. Closer. The next. Closer still. I turned and ran. The laughter followed me. As I reached the dunes, I glanced back. The children stood where I had been moments earlier. Their heads slowly tilted in the same direction. Toward me. I sprinted to my car and drove away. The next morning, I returned to the nearby town. An elderly fisherman listened silently as I described what happened. His face turned pale. He led me to an old newspaper clipping hanging inside a cafe. The article was dated 1958. A school bus carrying children had plunged from the cliffs during a storm. The vehicle was swept into the ocean. None of the children were ever found. The crash happened at Blackwater Beach. I felt sick. People still hear them, the fisherman whispered. The laughing. The footprints. Some even see them standing in the waves. I asked if anyone had ever disappeared. The fisherman nodded. A few. That night, curiosity got the better of me. I returned one final time. The beach was empty. The moon hung low above the water. Then I saw something sticking out of the sand. An old rusted bicycle. Half buried. Nearby was a small shoe. Then another. More objects began appearing as the tide receded. Toys. Backpacks. Pieces of a bus. Things that should have been lost forever. The ocean suddenly went silent. No waves. No wind. Nothing. The children appeared again. This time there were dozens of them. Standing shoulder to shoulder across the shoreline. Their empty eyes stared at me. One child stepped forward. A little girl with seaweed tangled in her hair. She pointed toward the ocean. I don't know why, but I looked. Far offshore, beneath the moonlight, something enormous was rising from the water. At first I thought it was a ship. Then I realized it was the outline of the missing school bus. Covered in barnacles. Dripping black seawater. Slowly emerging from the depths. The children's smiles widened. The bus door creaked open. And from inside came hundreds of voices whispering at once. "Come ride with us." I ran. I never looked back. Years have passed since then. But sometimes, late at night, I wake to the sound of distant waves. And outside my window, I occasionally find a trail of wet footprints leading toward my front door.